Hi.
Hi, Liz, and welcome back to Parenting ToolBox TV on this International Women's Day today.
Big day, isn't it? Love International Women's Day. Yeah. Happy International Women's Day, Jane.
And to you too, darling, and all those mums out there. Parenting ToolBox, yeah, mums, come on. It's, your day today, isn't it? And as well as Mothering Sunday coming up as well on Sunday.
So that's on Sunday. Yeah. It's been a busy week because we had World Book Day yesterday.
Yeah.
So, and we can talk a little bit about World Book Day and my exciting launch at the, coming up to the end. But I think, what do you remember? Do you have any fond memories or mixed memories as a mom of World Book Day?
Oh my goodness. Mixed memories of actually quite stressful memories, wasn't it? Of, like, what can I dress as this time? And then it's like, insisting to go on Amazon and buy the most expensive costume that they could find rather than just cobbling together whatever we could find, or just wearing what they wore last year. Why not? But it's stressful.
It kills me. When I used to teach English, obviously, I adore World Book Day and adored it then when I didn't have kids.
Yeah.
And then suddenly I had kids and I would always say, oh, why are they coming dressed as Wonder Woman or, a superhero? Why can't they, be Alice in Wonderland and make some nice homemade costumes? Then I had kids and I had a reprieve until about there were 5 or 6, when I could actually cobble together something, as you say, and throw them out of the house wearing my vision of whatever the Mad Hatter wears. And then they started to get a voice, and then they wanted to fit in and be like everybody else in the class wearing the superhero costume. And of course, I'd be a pedant saying, well, that's not technically a book, is it?
Yes.
And Jane, by the end of it, by the time the 2 of them had got through primary school and my youngest just got through it last year, I just got to the stage of just throwing my hands up and going, whatever, order it. I don't care. I'm not going to be a stickler about it.
Yeah.
But isn't it
stressful? Yeah, but you just think, where did these costumes don't get recycled, do they? I've always thought, why isn't there a box at school where you can just dump things in and then the next year could use them and just sort of recycle things round a bit? But ours always ended up at the bottom of a box somewhere that were then so crumpled and disheveled. You couldn't even put them into anyone. Yeah.
Along with the dancing costumes they wear for 5 minutes on stage. Yeah. Those dancing costumes that cost a bloody fortune. Yeah. But I think as a mom, it used to really stress me out. So in the early days when it was World Book Day, I used to get really excited, as I said. Then I had the children and I was still quite excited. Then they got old enough to actually have their own personal choices and demands, and then it became very stressful. And for my daughter, I think she is a little bit more sensitive about things. My son, you could kind of pass things off on him, but she needed it to be perfect. She's a perfectionist. It's excruciatingly hard to manage her emotions, and it would have to be stage managed to within an inch of its life, choreographing what they're wearing, so that they could go in and dance together or whatever. And I just used to be texting her friends' moms going, seriously, oh my God, what are we doing this year?
I know it's really hard, isn't it? And I think the thing is, as a parent, is to again put it in perspective, zoom out and think, this really matters to them. Does it really matter to us? Let's not get so stressed about it. And just let them be the little creative little Wonder Women they want to be. So
I think so. I mean, I think probably with me, there was always an extra level of kind of self-criticism revolving around these days, because it's not the only day, is it? There's always a pink day and a yellow day and a flower day, and I think they just pluck them out of the air. And it was always short notice. I know World Book Day comes around every March. I know that, but I'm not the kind of person to juggle that information that well.
So, have it all
unless it hits me in the backside, I forget. And it's usually the night before that it's like, oh, you're joking. What? And there's a mad scramble to every Tesco in the land looking for that one outfit that you just can't get anywhere else or something. So I think that's always added And it was never the dad doing it, by the way, Jane. It was always
no, of course not. Of course not. Of course not. Yeah. But again, it's that competitive edge sort of finds its way in a bit, doesn't it, as well?
Yeah.
Which
a bit toxic.
Bit toxic, really, isn't it?
But I think more so. It's to keep, because people, and I used to say the same to my sister. I'd say, for God's sake, you're the parent. They can wear what you tell them to wear. But ultimately, it isn't that cut and dry, is it? And
it doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. And
so
all I can say is the time goes so quickly. I remember when the kids were younger, I used to think, a day, the time you spent with them felt like it was forever, that day, which just seemed to drag on and on and on. But actually, when you look back now, you just think how quickly the whole time goes. You probably will only have maybe 5 book days, 6 book days, really, in that whole span. If you look at it like that, because we keep thinking it's come around again, it's again. But actually, when you look at it, it's just maybe 6 they'll have in junior school. So
I know. And it's actually, I've just been feeling, I don't know what it is. I think it's maybe because my daughter's in secondary school now in her first year, and my son, like your daughter, is about to leave secondary school. And just recently, I had this kind of hankering for my children, my little children, the small kids that used to be there. And as you say, like at the time, it seemed to be sometimes interminably boring. The same repetitive questions and the same visits to the park, traipsing around the lake in wellies and so on. But just recently, it's been coming back, the little waves of nostalgia. I think maybe days like this, like World Book Day, kind of tug at the heartstrings. Maybe it's because you see your little, your little kind of crocodile of World Book Day kids weaving into school as you're driving to work.
And I think for me on my phone, the memories are coming up of this time last, 6 years ago. And it's like, oh my goodness, you were, 101 Dalmatians that year. And it's popping up, isn't it? And it's, it is that nostalgia that kicks in. But, I think it's okay for mums and parents when they are going through this drudgery to accept that it is drudgery and that's okay, because we sort of think we've got to put the the happy face on and the buoyant face on all the time, and as we know, parenting isn't always roses and loveliness, is it? There are times when it is pretty hard going, and that's okay to express that and say that.
And to be open about it, I think, is the thing, isn't it? It's like to be able to express that frustration and say to the kids, listen, I lost the plot last night, but it's because you do it every year. You pounced this on me the night before. So even when you feel like you're being a little bit more organized and they say, we'll tell you next week. We'll tell you next week when we decide. I just need to see what Liv is doing. Or I just, what I mean? But that's so true. And I think that bleeds in well to International Women's Day and celebrating women, celebrating moms, but celebrating women.
And women who juggle so much. Really do juggle so much. It's dads do as well, but not to the extent I think that us women do, that we do juggle things.
I think with me it's more the mental load than anything else, because I think that there's parity when it comes to co-parenting. Obviously we're separated, but we still co-parent and we still communicate quite well, with transactional things when it comes to the children, and I think that's good. And I do respect the support that I get, so I can say if I've got a meeting, I can ask their dad to kind of pick up from where I've left off. But I do feel that it's the mental load with me that I find, and maybe it's because when I was teaching, I was going to work, I knew what I was doing, I was in the same role year in, year out. But growing a business and trying to get your voice heard and all of the excitement and the joy and the creativity that comes with that also comes with a degree of worry and stress and a little guilt, I suppose, because you're trying to balance being a mom with being a passionate businesswoman. And I think for me, I just feel that my brain could explode sometimes.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting. I think that whole mum guilt thing is quite a massive thing, especially for working mums who feel maybe they're not giving 100% where they feel they should be. But as we all know, there are no shoulds in life, are there? You're doing what you're doing to your best ability, and that's the most important thing. And I think it's recognizing and accepting that you are a good parent. You're doing your best. It's all out of love. It's all out of care, and just giving yourself a pat on the back sometimes, and not being so hard on yourself.
Yeah. But what do you have any recommendations for how to organize your brain? Like, I just want a second brain or something. What do you do? Because you seem to be more organized than me. You seem to have it more assessed.
Well, I am a really organized person. I do like to sort of have my lists and plans. And actually, if it can go the other way, if I have things planned and they don't go as I have them planned, that's when I tend to sort of lose the plot a bit. So as a planner and having everything just so can go against you sometimes, because when it doesn't go as you had hoped or you had planned, that's when I tend to tip over the edge. So both sides have that, whichever way, whichever way it goes.
It's getting the balance, isn't it?
It is getting a balance. But back to your question of asking, what can one do? I think it is just freeing up your mind a little bit, because I know there is so much going on, and it is taking that time out when you feel your mind is like full of stuff and it can't get it. Take yourself away from things, have that mindful moment, get out in nature. I mean, people talk about self-care, and I'm not talking self-care as in, go and have a bubble bath and go and have a lovely massage. I'm not talking about that, but just get out in nature, go for a walk, clear your head, do the breathing exercises, all these things that can really, really help in that moment when you're feeling overwhelmed or stressed. Just take that step aside and just reframe your thoughts. Because when I tip over of like, it's not going my way, it's not as if planned, it's like, whoa, does that matter? Take a step back.
Yes, I think. Yeah. Because I think with me, when it comes to that level of disorganization, because I'm the opposite to you, very much so. We work well together because I'm a bit like, darling. And you're very like, here, we'll do it then, and then we'll organize that. And I'm very like, whoa, let's just pull it out of here. But also, I think with me, it's being able to accept that didn't happen, and it's okay. Like you, that didn't go as I had planned, and it's okay. Because with me, if I don't accept that didn't happen and it's okay, I find myself going, why does everybody else seem to have their stuff together and I don't? Why is everybody else able to addle and I'm not? That's the way I feel.
They don't.
Yes.
It's like at the school kids. You see, we can create this image in our heads of other people and their lives and how perfect it is and everything. It's not, so it is that self-acceptance, isn't it? And just saying, I'm doing my best. It is all okay. I'm as good as anybody else. I used to have this mentor with my daughter, so I'm as good as anybody else, if not better, just to build her confidence, to get her into school sometimes,
Wow.
And it is that thing. We are all as good as each other in all aspects of life.
That is the thing. I think maybe with me, the extra mental burden comes from being a single mom, I suppose. Yeah. And that's having to really work hard to break some of the narratives that revolve around the struggling single mom. And I guess, when I think about it, it's also that extra few pairs of eyes. Now the children are old enough to be able to be discerning, to be able to observe, to be able to say, yeah, you're doing a great thing, but I want this thing that costs a lot of money and you can't provide that. So that, and they understand that the business is growing and I've taken a leap of faith, but also they can be a bit judgy teenagers, can't they? We know that.
Yes. Oh yeah.
When things ain't going their way, they're very quick to point the finger, and that's part of how their brain is developing, isn't it?
It is. They're taking those risks.
Mindful.
They're taking the risks. They're pushing the boundaries. They're doing all those sorts of things. And it can, as a parent, it can be hurtful sometimes, some of the things they say or how they make you feel. But again, it's stepping back and thinking, that's not the real them. It is the real them at this moment in time, but their brains aren't fully formed. They're not being rational. They're responding in the fight flight.
The amygdala,
that's how they're responding. The amygdala, they're flicking their lid, so to speak, and they're not thinking with the rational part of their brain. And I constantly remind myself that my daughter's brain is not going to be fully formed till she's 25. Sometimes they need to be given some slack, and we are the adults. We shouldn't get triggered. We need to step back, step away, take the breath, and just zoom out and understand.
You always remind me. You always anchor me. Thank you, Jane. But you do. You always manage to get me back and just go, right, anchor. You're fine. It's okay. Take a breath. And I think the advice that you give is wonderful, because it's advice that I give all the time and I share all the time, and it's what I practice. But like all of us, it's so easy to get distracted. And I think because it's International Women's Day today, after this, it's a lovely day. I'm actually, I had a few things that I have to do and a few emails to send. I'm actually going to switch off the computer and I'm going to go for a walk in the park.
Good girl. Good girl.
That's what I'm going to do. And do you know what I might even do? And this is real cold turkey. I might not bring these fellas with me, because when they come with me, I usually have my head in some podcast or audio book, which actually brings us quite nicely in a segue into the next part.
Yes, Liz. So tell me. You have given a little hint to me about a new book club on the horizon. So can you give me a bit more information now? Or are you going to have to shoot me?
So excited. So for years, I've not really been a member of book clubs. I do love reading. I love fiction. But I love nonfiction. I adore nonfiction. But I tend to listen to a lot of nonfiction and then buy the book and read it and annotate it. And nonfiction or fiction for me is just a lovely treat in the garden or, by the fire on a cozy winter day. But a few years ago, I had this idea. I really wanted to create a book club when I stopped drinking and I was part of the Soberista community. I really wanted to create a book club that reflected the types of self-help book or non-fiction, positive psychology books that we were all reading and exchanging and talking about. So I set up a book club called the Good Wolf Book Club. And the idea was the intention based on the parable, which is in life, there are two wolves inside us. One represents greed and bad things and evil and fear and, loathing. And the other one represents the good things like love and joy and happiness and so on. And it's based on a little parable that the grandparent is saying to their grandson or daughter. And the child says, well, which one wins? Which wolf wins? And they say the one you feed. So I wanted to feed my good wolf. I wanted to nourish my soul and my mind and my psychology and my physical side as well. So I started to buy books like Lost Connections by Johann Hari. People like this one, Atlas of the Heart. I love Brene Brown. You love Brene Brown as well.
Yes, I love Brene Brown.
We love her. And I started the little book club, but it ran for a while, and then it kind of, COVID hit and other things happened. So I've decided I'm going to relaunch it, but I'm going to make it wider because it was just in my Soberista kind of community of about, 10 people. But I've decided, because I work with so many young people and so many clients who are in the workplace, and I reach quite a far wide-reaching kind of audience with the radio show and the podcast and this, I thought I'm going to just make it open to everybody, and I'm going to have a social media page, probably Instagram. I haven't launched it quite yet. But if you're interested, have a look at my website, because I will be putting most of the details on that. And I'd love for people to sign up. I'm going to call it Badass Book Club is what I'm going to call it.
Badass Book Club. I love that.
Book Club. Because I think that when we choose ourselves, when we opt to show up as the person we have been sent on this planet to be, it's hard sometimes, it's confronting sometimes. And do you know what? It's damn well badass. Some of the choices we make are difficult choices. And sometimes it's easier to be stuck in misery and the comfort of that misery, whether it's you're treading water in a job, or you're stuck in a unhealthy relationship, or you're stuck in a habit loop like I was with booze. All of those things, when you address them, they're hard to do, and it can be lonely. And for me, some of the books that I found on my journey changed my life. And I'm evangelical. If I find something that lights me up and changes me as a person, that's why I do what I do. That's why I trained in positive psychology, because I believe that everyone should have access to this kind of stuff. So I'm opening it up to everybody. It's going to be called the Badass Book Club. I'd love for whoever, share it, get your on it. There might be the odd swear, so just deal with that, because sometimes you need to say things quite passionately. But I think, are you going to join, Jane?
I am going to join, most definitely. That'll kick me into gear to start reading a bit more, which will be great. So how will it evolve? So will you initially suggest books to be read? And
yes.
I
think what's going to happen is I will every month. So this month it's going to launch on, today, which is International Women's Day. So as a result of that, we're halfway. Well, we're a good bit through the month. So I'm going to allow for this month's read is going to hang over for April. So the first, and it'll give people a chance to cut their teeth and decide how they want to consume it. So, and then I'm going to probably do a live once a week just to kind of summarize some of the chapters, and people can jump on and comment, and maybe I'll invite members of the group who feel that they might want to host as we evolve. We'll see how it evolves, but for now I'm just going to try and make a regular check-in time. I haven't decided yet when, but it won't be in March. There'll be a kind of welcome to the group in March, but the actual book discussion, or it might be just me talking about the book. I don't know how it will be, but I will have regular posts to kind of check in on people and say.
Okay, and that'll be mainly on Instagram, so people will join.
Instagram and LinkedIn. I'll use LinkedIn. And I think I'll bring it over to the Facebook as well, Jane. Maybe Sunrise Psychology. Because it's a disparate kind of following I have on the various platforms. So
I would use each one,
Yeah, I think in Instagram, a lot of the younger people I work with tend to follow me on Insta. So, and I feel when I work with students, I might do a 10-week course with them, and then I leave. And I always feel that I want to have more for them. And I'll say, you can reach me on my website, follow me on my socials, reach out to me anytime. And it's almost like a safety net for them and also a kind of way of reinvigorating the content that we've covered and the new behaviors they may have, nourished themselves.
Especially with teens, because they are constantly shifting and changing, and their outlooks on things, or suddenly the penny might drop about something you were working with them on in the past. And so to have that continuity is really important, isn't it?
I think so. And I encourage that they bring their friends and their cousins and their parents on board as well. I mean, when I work in a school, I work from the top down. I try and work with, senior leadership, with parents, with students, and with all of the staff. The dinner ladies come to my sessions, the support staff, the cleaners, they're all invited. And it just means that we're all on the same page, talking the same language. And I think the books I'm going to be choosing, some of them I'll have read already, and some of them I even use and refer to in my own courses. But the first one I'm going to start with, and I don't even have it to hand here, is James Clear's Atomic Habits.
Habits.
I'm choosing this one, I think, specifically because I work with a lot of young men, a lot of boys, a lot of teenage lads. Jane, you've no idea. If I go in as a positive psychologist, middle-aged white woman doing the jazz hands, they don't connect. The minute I mention habit and the minute I mention atomic habits, you would be so surprised by the amount of kids who get it, especially boys. They're straight in there going, oh, yeah. Whether it's from Joe Rogan they got it or some influencer, they actually do love that book. So I'm going to start with Atomic Habits because I think
start with that. Amazing.
It's got such value for all of us to help us live our lives intentionally. There are so many brilliant takeaways, honestly. And for your team,
I'm excited. Yeah, I'm excited.
Your teams and your parents, Jane, I would so recommend it.
Brilliant. So Liz, if on the bottom in the comments after this, if I pop your email address, if people contact you by email, would that be a way of getting them into the system as well?
That's a brilliant idea. Yeah. If you put my email and my webpage.
Yes.
And then maybe my LinkedIn
contact you directly. Yeah.
But to email would be a great way.
So you've got somewhere to guide people.
I think that way we could, because eventually what I intend to do is have a newsletter that I send out, and it will revolve around the book club, the Badass Book Club. And I'll probably do one once every couple of weeks for the Badass Book Club.
So people need to find you first, don't they? So we need to spread the word. So everybody else help spread the word as well. It'd be amazing. So
I think
I'm
excited. It just lights me up. It's my artist way, because I do the artist way, and I'm a practitioner as well as a facilitator. And my artist way teacher said to me last week, what are you going to do for your project? And various people have various things. My friend she's basically decluttering her house. That's her creative project this time around. And my one, I said, is I'm going to start a book club called the Badass Book Club. And she was like, oh, I love that. That's wonderful.
Yeah,
so
amazing.
That's what I'm going to do.
That's the end of a good week then, end of good book week, setting up a book club, perfect timing, and International Women's Day. Amazing. Yeah. And we're all very blessed as parents, as mothers, that we'll be having Mothering Sunday on Sunday. So wishing you all a super rest of the day, and happy Mothering Sunday on Sunday. Hope you're all spoilt rotten.
Oh yeah, have a wonderful day, everyone. And look, isn't it wonderful? It's spring, Jane. We have sunshine. We have daffodils. Oh,
at last they are springing up. So yes, feeling very sprightly and springy as we speak today. So thank you for your time.
Thank you for your time, Jane. Thanks for having me and for organising. See, that's Jane's organised head here.
That's me.
Well done.
Listen to your creative ways, though. The creative ways are there. It's brilliant.
Oh,
so you take care.
Thank you so much. Enjoy your reading, folks. Enjoy Mother's Day and happy International Women's Day. Bye, everyone.
Take care, everyone. Bye.